Yeah, do the same thing I told Tony to do, and hex chat, server list, and then what? Our network list, that's what it is. And then edit, the one for Linux Mint, and then it should give you the option to put in a password.
It says connect to this network automatically. It says use global user information.
Right, okay.
I can unclick that one.
Go to auto join channels.
Auto join channels. Okay. And then unclick use global user information so I can put in my nickname and password.
Yep, that's the one.
And password. Make sure I get it right by doing copy and paste. Okay, got that. Do I hit just close when I got that, or there isn't a save? There's add, remove, edit, and close.
Yeah, just close.
Okay. All right, we'll see what happens next time. Well, tell Londoner that it's not como estas usted, it's just como está usted.
Why? His Spanish is probably better than mine.
Well, you can say como estás or you can say como está usted. You do not say como estás usted.
Hey, Leo. You deleted the Mibit on the live stream page.
Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna get to that.
And on the About page, it still shows the Google Plus, but it doesn't have a link for either MeWe or the Mibit.
Yeah, but the Mibit was never on the About. It was always on the live stream page.
How's the live stream, by the way?
It's working.
Yeah.
I set up the other one, but it doesn't look like Josh turned on the server, so I might turn that off and switch computers before we start.
Okay.
Yeah, it's working because I've just heard myself say it's working.
So the live stream is on YouTube according to the link on the page, right?
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Okay, I'll tell, well, the guy in the room.
You can put the link in.
Alright, the live stream page should be updated.
Yeah, the link I've just put in the chat is working.
Cool. Did you get Telegram and Discord?
No, I've not put a link into them. No.
Yeah,
I was just doing the live stream.
I
Hey.
just walked back in the house and the coffee smell just smacked me in the face.
Is that good or bad?
Oh, it's good.
I put the link in the header on the IRC, but it's not coming up as a link per se. It did the header and it did broadcast it to the room, but I doubt if you can click on it.
Well, I put a link to the live stream, and it's giving the full web address. And if you click on it, it takes you to the live stream page.
Okay. I put it in the room again, and yep, it's there. Londoner just gave Joe a comment.
Yeah. Tappity tap, tap, tap.
I'm all tapped out.
I don't believe that at all.
Oh,
See what I tell you.
I've won an auction.
Ooh, what for?
Some Matchbox cars. Believe it or not.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that one that you had on in Discord. That was nice.
Oh!
Oh.
Popey came into the room.
Yeah. I swear when it's YouTube, he shows up. I don't know if we have no other way to track how when people listen.
No, I mean he's in the hex room, the IRC room.
Oh, well, that's cool. All right. I tweeted her out too, just in case. I don't know. I quite like the YouTube stream.
I told Popey now someone can fact check us, LOL.
Yeah. Just for that, I'm gonna make sure I say everything wrong today.
You're not allowed to do that.
I tried to help you out a bit on the intro stuff. I hope I didn't step on your toes, Leo.
My toes hurt right now. I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't looked for like 30 minutes. So if y'all
well, I think it's been there for more than 30 minutes. Like first up in our wanderings, I have a suggestion of what to say there.
Oh, you the man! No, this is great.
Okay.
I'm gonna finish that part and then we'll be good. I think I have everything ready to go. The innards is going to be Joe heavy, but I will make sure to interrupt him all the time.
I'm sure you will. We can always count on Leo to say something.
That's right. Oh, yeah, seriously. That's why I wanted the security update so short, because that's just me talking. Don't get me wrong. I'll talk to you all day, but,
Well, as long as it's useful stuff, and it's stuff that needs to be out there, we should be putting it out there.
Yeah, well, I took your suggestion. It's all in there now. I think the other two are just going to be quick little info tidbits or whatever. So here pretty soon. So I have this thing. I guess before... I guess those of you on the live stream will hear this, but nobody else will. So I have this thing. It's an Akai little piano thing with like an 8-button... Like you can program it to have little audio bits in it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about using that to play the audio and stuff for the live stream.
Ooh.
So I've totally got a device, and this Behringer thing that I've got that's doing my mic right now has an input for it. So it would sound like essentially that it was just coming through my mic, coming through. It would just come through me on Mumble. So it would be exactly the way that it used to be back in the day.
Hello,
Way back in the
TW.
day. Hello, TW.
Hey, what's
Wait,
going
which
on,
TW?
guys?
Ah, that TW. Hey.
Yeah, still fighting some audio issues.
Listen, it wouldn't be the mintCast if we started at exactly 2 o'clock. So all I'm saying is the people listening live get to enjoy what it's really like.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts. Ant-Man is in, and he says he doesn't hear anything.
Oh no! On YouTube? Oh, he might be still using the old link. That might be what it is.
My mistake. I had my earbuds plugged in. LOL.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah, it happens. I do that. Why can't I hear anything? And then you realise your headphones are plugged in and they're sat on the floor next to your tower.
I told him, LOL, you're getting as technically proficient as me.
Takes a lot of skill to be as good as you, Moss.
Yeah, what can I say? Has to be badly misapplied, but a lot of skill.
I think I'm good to
Moss?
go now. I was having some
Nice.
issues. It turned out to be a headphone extension cable that was bad. I thought it was everything but that.
Oh.
Okay, somebody said moss, and then...
Yeah, I read through it. I'm giving you the thumbs up on that Wanderings bit. It's good.
Cool.
I like it.
Please remember, I'm always only trying to help.
Oh, no, I got you, man.
If your toes
good.
hurt, I will rub your feet. Yeah. Don't tell
My
my
legs-
wife; she might be jealous.
Yeah, my legs are not that long. Tennessee's a long ways away.
And I'm the far end of it. You know, the longest distance that any interstate highway runs through any given state is I-40 through Tennessee.
Wow.
447 miles.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
Not much, but I'm no longer set up for the live stream since it wasn't connecting anyway.
No.
No worries. Oh, I
Let me shut off
totally
the
just
other
saw a
one.
message by Josh.
All right. Just a minute. I've just realised I need to.
Oh, you're telling me I gotta redo the setup again?
No. We're good. Hold on.
All right, give me a second.
I need to do the mumble recording.
Ah, yes, the mumble recording.
Did anybody put it in Discord? No, I don't see it.
In Discord. Put what in Discord? The link?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I got it, though. I got it.
Okay.
Right. I'm starting the mumble recording.
Yes, you are.
Alright. And in Telegram, we got to post it in there? We do not. Eh.
Ha ha ha! Hey, I did good just getting into IRC. Then Joe and I had to coach Tony to get IRC going.
Is it not? Oh, okay. It's not on mintcast.org.
No, it's disappeared.
What happened?
The Mibbit.
The minute.
No, it's there now. It should be there.
Oh, have you put it back?
Yeah, refresh.
Excellent.
Okay, did you get rid of the Google Plus link?
Yes.
Whoa, Moss.
Yeah. Down
Oh, come on. Let's concentrate on the important stuff, which is getting the show working tonight.
Listen, I'm good to just get what I have going right now. I feel like
No, that's
we're
pretty
gonna
heroic.
go down
Really.
the tubes otherwise.
Yeah.
Wait, we're going
Look.
down the tubes right now. The YouTubes.
I thought we were sort of going down the transistors, but that's okay.
Yay! I'm on the Mibit.
Crazy.
I'm on the Mibit.
Yay.
Londoner, Popey.
Tony Watts, Joe, and me, and you.
I shouldn't be on there. No, I should be on there.
Yeah, right.
I should probably turn on Audacity, hey?
Oh, Tony quit.
No, I've joined through Mibit.
Ah,
Yeah, I guess the size of the lettering would be larger on Mibit, which would be helpful.
oh, that would be helpful.
It is because you can scroll it in and zoom it.
Ah, well, I'm going to have to learn how to Mibit.
Back it up, scroll it, zoom it. Oh no.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, control.
Oh yeah, that's much easier to read.
Yeah.
So Popey is hearing what consummate professionals we are.
Of
Oh,
course.
nice.
The most professional.
Belle Biv DeVoe, and nobody says anything about that reference. That's all right though.
I don't know Belle Biv DeVoe from Adam and Eve.
You're probably not missing a lot.
Oh, Leo's been playing with UB ports.
Ooh, just a little. Actually, hang on. Before we get the show started, I'm going to go get it.
Tony Watts, there's a singer-songwriter group on MeWe. Have you gotten into that?
No. You mentioned it when we were talking I guess that was yesterday. But no, not yet. I haven't really been doing anything on MeWe.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Well, some guy named Joe Fortenberry, who's an Americana artist, who actually is going to be playing Maryville next Saturday. So I'm probably going to go hear it as sort of a birthday present since there's no cover charge.
Cool.
Oh, man. My power plug keeps coming out on this stupid thing. This wonderful Galago Pro 2, which was a gift from a listener. The power plug keeps popping out, and it could be disastrous if the battery drained in the middle of the show.
If nothing else, Moss, it would be funny.
We had funny a couple episodes ago when my mumble crashed at mid-episode. Ask Tony Hughes how funny that was.
Tony Hughes, how funny was that?
What was it? What was this? Last time.
My mumble crashing 2 episodes ago.
Oh no, it was all right. We got there in the end. After Leo pointed out that there was about half a second gap, and you were you were talking over everyone.
Yeah. It
Well,
made
I
me
do
sound
that all the
very
time anyhow,
angry.
but
Don't you always sound very angry?
I don't know, do I?
No.
nah.
I think I laugh way too much, so yeah, maybe that kind of downplays it a little bit.
Yes, but it's an angry laugh.
Oh, that's it. Like a mwahaha kind of thing. Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody remembers that laugh, I'm sure.
I remember it as well as you remember Belle Biv DeVoe.
Well, back in the old days when we just barely had color television, we had a children's show called Beanie and Cecil.
Yeah.
And the bad guy was Dishonest John. Yeah, 'tis I, Dishonest John.
So
And when they're comic books, it came out as yeah, yeah, right. Okay, go ahead, Leo.
No, I was gonna say, I just got on mintCast. I'm gonna have to put this in the show. I just got on mintcast.org, and apparently Morph browser in UbiPorts does not support OGG either. We thought it was an Apple only thing. I think Josh and I both ran into it. And iPhone can't do OGG, so it just looks broken on the website if you go there. But it happens on UbiPorts as well. Well, at least in the built-in browser.
I fully understood that it was a book, and I even said in my email, this is probably too long to read.
Yeah, I know. I was pulling your leg and Alan's as well.
Uh-huh. Popey said if we'd have read it, we'd have had complaints that the show was over 2 hours.
Yeah. 48 minutes is the longest show they've had for a while.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 of them at the moment.
We fixed that issue by just chopping it up into a bunch of little pieces.
Well, they do.
Yeah, I know they do it in 2 pieces, but somehow they make it through all their stuff before the 1 hour mark. We just can't do it, man. We just can't shut up. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get complaints about our show being too long.
Moss, you don't remember the emails? I remember those emails.
Suck it up, you know?
Alan's just said we don't know how to shut up.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like our disease.
And he knows what he's talking about. He knows who Belle Biv DeVoe is, so you guys should listen.
Do I have to look up Belle Biv DeVoe before I won't let it go?
It sounds like you're going to have to.
Are we ever going to get round to starting this show?
Oh, you guys want to do a
got
podcast
sound
today?
check to do.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is the podcast, all right?
Well, I spelled Belle Biv DeVoe right. It found it right away.
There you go.
Right, can I remind everyone, have you got Audacity set up and
crap.
saved your
No, actually. I've been having too much fun here.
Come on, you jokers.
I am not joking. I am now opening Audacity.
I will save the project, though. $323, right?
It's $323.
All right.
Okay, project saved. Should be ready to go. We have had some high winds, and at times it sounds like the metal roof of the trailer is going to blow off. So that could be an interesting thing to muffle.
Oh dear.
Before we get started, I'm serious. Like, I think I've got the noise removal figured out.
Excellent. Audacity or something else?
Audacity. No, I was chesting up to Bo the other day. Like, listen, your Reaper settings aren't nothing. I got this.
All right.
It took like 20-30 minutes of playing with everything, every knob I could turn. And yeah.
I think the audio quality over the last few months has gone dramatically better anyway, so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And you've made some notes on that too, Leo, haven't you? Or you were
Yep.
going to?
Yeah, every change I made, it's all in there and it's highlighted for if you know the old way, this is the new stuff.
The only one I would query is
Well, let's at least get the recording started for Audacity, and then we can do everything else whenever.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Is everyone
3,
ready
2, 1,
to
silence.
just a minute. You ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, record.
Getting some good traffic noise there for you.
Yeah, there was some from my end as well.
Hey, that's all right. That's what you want. That's the stuff we want taken out. That's okay.
Yeah. Okay, are we ready to do the 0 for
Let's
lining
0.
up the tracks?
Oh yeah.
Do it.
3, 2, 1, 0.
0.
Right, we're off.
Okie doke.
Alright.
Well, I'm always a little off.
I'm really glad for that 0. Does anybody else get it when you hit record in Audacity? It doesn't go.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know
cool.
why that is. Why does that happen? Because sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. It totally just feels like Audacity is like, no, not right now.
It seems like it's if it is going to happen, it's going to be on the first one. So I'll oftentimes record just a few seconds and then close it out, just kind of out of habit, and it doesn't seem to happen after that.
Yeah, what
I
I
see.
do is
Okay.
I pause a new recording and then press record, and it doesn't do anything until you then unpause it. So when we do the 3, 2, 1 record, I just unpause it, and that starts automatically.
We are
Yeah, I
not
think
professionals.
Hey, look, we're super professional.
Well, let's prove it and do a semi-professional podcast, I suppose.
Maybe,
Yeah, we're only
maybe.
18 minutes
Hey,
late.
come on.
That's much better than last time. It was like 2:40 before we got started.
Well, yeah, but that was live stream issues. This isn't.
Not yet.
Okay,
All right,
over to you. Leo.
Forward, ho!
let's do it. Well, hang on.
I'm going to silence my mic while you do all the. Don't forget the 2 intros again.
Will do. Wait, I won't forget. I will do the 2.
Yeah,
There you
that's what we.
Thanks for clarifying that.
go. I know. Sometimes.
Did we do an episode on Sednock?
Oh God. No.
We did a command line episode, but
Oh.
the other Tony is saying also I remember the Sedawk episode. So,
Maybe you was talking about Ubuntu podcast.
Maybe. Oh yeah, that's probably true. I don't know. Well, yeah. Okay. Before we get too off track, I think they did it a long time ago. Maybe. I don't know.
don't get me wrong, I like me some Sednock.
Listen, I'm just trying not to have to teach anybody an entire programming language with awk over here.
Right?
Yeah, that's about all I hear when I see awk.
I'm using cat and EOF today, but that's about it.
Yeah, those are pretty simple though. I think we can handle those.
I think my cat just uses meow.
Yeah. All right, y'all ready?
Yep.
Ready for what?
Okay.
Yep.
Here we go. Welcome to mintCast episode 323. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. We're in the mintcast channel in IRC at irc.spotchat.org. If you see something that you'd like to hear about, tell us. Send us email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us on MeWe and Facebook. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Telegram, Discord, or post directly at mintcast.org. Welcome to mintcast episode 323.5. Did you catch that? I missed it.
I
This
caught
is
that.
Hey, this is Leo, and with me today is Tony Hughes,
Hi, guys.
Joe,
I'm here.
Moss,
Living the good life.
and Tony Watts.
Hello, everyone.
We're recording on Sunday, December 1st, 2019. First up in our wanderings, I go upstream. Moss fights frustration by installing Sabayon again. Tony Hughes grapples with GNOME 3. Joe fixes some keyboards, and Tony Watts plays on Proton. Then in our news, Linux Mint has a new update. System 76 builds its own laptops. Kali goes undercover. The new 5.4 kernel, and more. In security, we talk D-Link remote access. In our intersection, we talk travel, networking, and access. And finally, our listener feedback. Well, this past fortnight, it's been a journey. I've had a few different things that I've had to go through. Well, as you heard in the intro, Josh isn't with us this biweekly, or this fortnight, and so I took over streaming duties for a little while at least, and we're doing this on YouTube. So yeah, if you didn't get the link, it's on Twitter and all of the chat places. But that was kind of fun. It's kind of a funny story. The OBS thing. Well, I don't know. Okay, maybe not funny, haha, but funny to me. This past couple of weeks, we ran into this issue at work with WebEx, and we have a limited amount of storage to do cloud recordings so we can download them and give them to the students. And, well, we were full. And so at the very beginning of the day, I mean, we're talking like it's 8 o'clock, I'm not thinking straight. I click record, and it's like, nah, we don't have any space. I'm like, well, this is kind of an important week. So I had to scramble for about 15-20 minutes to figure out how to get something and set it up, all for free. And it turned out OBS. Well, OBS is also able to do just plain old desktop microphone recordings, and you throw a video camera on there, and it's fantastic. It's great. The funny thing about this is that the audio quality was insanely better than what WebEx was giving us. And I don't know why. I cannot tell you for the life of me why OBS just trampled all over WebEx. But long story short, that's what happened. Figured out OBS, got a screen recording, and everything is great. It works better than, I don't know how much we pay for it, but whatever we're paying for it, it's too much. But so anyway, OBS to the rescue, it's great. But it worked out that OBS is what I'm using right now on a secondary machine to stream all of this to YouTube as well. So for a couple of different reasons, I've just been diving into OBS, and I've had a really good time with it. There have not been any issues that I've run into just yet. And right now, we're doing a simple stream to YouTube. This is the first time I'm actually doing streaming to YouTube. So if you're watching it, it's just a simple image, nothing fancy. All that we've got is just the audio stream and an image. So. But you can do so much more. So my plans, I didn't want to rock the boat this time. I did not want to rock the boat. But my plans for it, if we continue on this YouTube thing, is going to be, I want like a Telegram stream going on, and a Discord stream going on, and an IRC stream going on. I don't know how you do that. Like, I'm that guy that's like, oh, you're a programmer? Hey, you should totally make my idea. That's what I'm doing, except I'm the programmer too. So I'm going to have to figure out if any of this is possible in the first place. So, I don't know. If you're listening and you have any experience doing any of this at all, yeah, let me know. That'd be great.
And a picture of my wet kitten.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So on the test stream yesterday, that's what I was streaming out for a little while. I don't know if we're going to release that, but that was a little stream that we were doing, and it had a wet kitty front and center for a whole 5 minutes. I was testing out, what was I testing out? Screen sharing or something like that, just casting the whole screen. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so I know there are some listeners that prefer to have a copy of this at the end of everything. They like to use VLC, and they like to do just kind of like do the audio stream and have a copy for themselves. I have a fix for you because I don't think you can actually do that in YouTube. There might be some tool out there that allows you to do that like on the fly or whatever, but I don't know what it is. However, I have a command for you to run. If you have YouTube DL installed, all you got to do is pop in the URL for this video. It's all you got to change in the command that I'm going to have in the show notes to get a copy of this. And since the people that do the recording of the live stream want that more immediate, I guess, I'll throw that in the Telegram and Discord chats as well.
As an addition there, if you want it from an Android device, you can use YouTube Vanced, which is from XDA developers.
Ooh, if you get a chance, throw that into the show notes, because I would like to take a look at that too. So the other stuff outside of directly show-related stuff, UB ports. So I've heard over and over and over and over again that Ubuntu Touch is not dead. It's not dead. It's still around. The UB ports guys took it. And, that went in one ear and out the other every single time I heard it, except, and I'm not looking at his name right now, so I hope I get it right, but I follow Diogo Constantino, I believe is his name, on Twitter, and I see him talking about UB ports, and I see him kind of being the bulwark a lot of times, because I see it on Twitter all the time, where it's like, Ubuntu Touch is dead, I wish it wasn't dead, and then here comes Diogo, like, nope, it's not dead, here's a link, so he's like, he's fighting the good fight on Twitter over here, keeping everything alive. So the 100 millionth time that I saw him do that, I was like, all right, you know what? Fine. I just saw that the Nexus 2013 Wi-Fi edition was supported, and I was like, you know what? It's not doing anything. It's collecting dust anyway. Let's just put it on. So I took it to work one day, and I had about a whole 10-minute break, and I was like, well, I'll just Google it, see what the effort is going to be. And in 10 minutes, I had it on. Like there was no work involved. So keep in mind, I had already unlocked the bootloader like years ago, and I had already put on a couple different operating systems years ago as well. So that footwork had already been done by past Leo for myself. So I didn't have to do that. So if your device is still locked, there's a little bit of heave-hoing that you're going to have to do. But for me, it was nothing. So on Linux, snap install UBport stash installer was all I had to install. Then plugged in my device, set it to developer mode, and that was like that. The install took a minute. The developer mode took like 5 taps. I don't know, however you do that. And then I just ran the installer. That was it. And then I walked away from it. And like 20, 30 minutes later, I came back and it was done. I was able to use it. It was insanely simple. I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I've just been using it the past few days. And okay, so there's one thing. The screen keeps turning on. I don't know why. Just like out of nowhere, it just keeps turning on. And the other thing I saw was when we go to mintcast.org, the OGG feed doesn't show up. Like you can't play it for some reason. This was an issue that I thought we only had on iPhones, iDevices, iThings, because they don't support OGG out of the box. But also, it's in Morph Browser, which is interesting. I don't know that that's not by design. It very well could be, because the MP3 is totally supported.
Now, I'm just wondering, with the UB ports, what else can you install? I mean, could you install Chrome? Can you install desktop applications, or is it only applications that are specifically built for your version of UB ports?
So I'm still learning how all of this works. So to be quite honest with you, I don't know yet. They have this thing called the Open Store inside of there, and you can scroll through, but let me see. If I search Firefox, I get nothing. I get fsend. Oh, so the unofficial web app of Firefox Send. So it looks like... So I remember this from way back in the day, and this may totally be very wrong, but the way that these apps on UB ports, I guess, or Ubuntu Touch work is that they're really just web apps that they just give you a window inside the device to actually look at. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to dig way further into it. So this is just kind of like a cursory, hey, I installed it and have been playing with it a little bit, surfing the web, things like that on it. So I don't really have a whole lot to report, to be quite honest with you. But so far, everything else is working fine. I haven't had any issues, but like I said, I've really just been surfing the web on it.
Calls, text messages.
This is not a phone. This is just a tablet with Wi-Fi. So
That's
I cannot.
what Hangouts is for.
True that. And I think if it's a web app, you can do Hangouts. Let me see if I do Google. See what I. Oh yeah, like Google Plus. Oh, Google Plus. Of course it is. Google Drive Basic. I bet Hangouts is down here somewhere. There's Maps. Ooh, Discord is there. Oh, nice. So it does support quite a bit. Google Mail. I don't see a Hangouts.
If it does voice, I mean, if it does Google Voice, then it'll do everything the Hangouts does, essentially.
Okay. So yeah, so you know what? If you have some things that you want me to test on it, give me a list, and I'll test them all, and then next show we'll talk about it some more. Because
Audacity?
I feel like, okay, I'll take a look at that. I just feel like I've totally breathed new life into this tablet, and I'm considering taking it around with me again. So
it could be your podcasting mobile station.
Yeah, so I don't know that Audacity would work because it's not a web app. But if there's something on the web that will allow me to record, then I think it would work.
Yeah, then you just need Mumble.
Right, yeah, if there's a Mumble on somewhere around there, I'll be able to use it.
Being too broke to be able to afford these devices and whatnot, I would also be curious as to how well Plasma Mobile works.
Well, you can get you should be able to get a Nexus 5 relatively low cost. They're several years old now, but it's one of the few devices that runs UB ports pretty well.
Well, I'm hoping this changes soon, but right now getting food is a difficulty.
Right.
Yeah, Joe, I still have a Nexus 5 laying around from the mobile episode that we did. I bought one on eBay. They run for about $40 right now, but I've still got it laying here. Plasma Mobile, I didn't have much luck installing. I kind of gave up on it, but like you said, Leah, the UB ports install is a breeze.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It looked like, it reminded me of the Cyanogen mod. I guess this is, what are they called now? They're not Cyanogen mod anymore.
Lineage OS is what it's called now.
Okay.
So what all have you run on it, Tony?
So I definitely used it for calls and texts and all that kind of standard stuff. I had a couple of podcast apps running on it. My goal at the time, I have a company phone and I had a separate personal phone at the time. And I wanted to try to do just talk, text, and podcasts at a minimum, and then, social media apps as well. And I was able to do all of that.
Nifty. I'll have to take a look at that because I think I can control the majority, if not all, of mintCast from the tablet now. I guess if that's going to be the case, because most everything is on the web.
Still not as cool as my Dell Venue.
Yeah. Well, the other last thing that I've got is I just installed a 1080p panel in my laptop. I had been thrashing around on the 1600 by 900, I think is what it was, panel, and I had been thrashing around on that for about a year and a half, 2 years, however long I had this laptop, and that was before I was on the show. So
you didn't mention the model of the laptop. Someone who is listening would love to know that.
The model what?
Of your laptop.
Yeah, T450S. Oh, did I not?
Right?
Okay. Yeah, that's it. So T450S cost me about $50 to get the 1080p panel. It said it was IPS, but after I install it, some of those viewing angles say no, it's not. But it's good. It's actually it was a huge leap forward in terms of viewing angles from my previous panel. So I am not disappointed at all, especially not for the price. But the 1080 is the thing that is quite amazing. Everything is, slightly smaller as you might expect. The screen size didn't change, just the amount of pixels in there. But man, it is, yeah. For $50, yeah, this just made this laptop. It's gonna last me another couple years at least with this new panel. So I really do appreciate that. It's a huge improvement. Well, that's all I got for me. So, Tony Hughes, what do you got?
Okay. Well, been doing a couple of things Linuxy and a few things non-Linuxy this week or so. This week, I actually installed, or in the last fortnight, I installed Linux Mint on a HP G62 laptop. It's an AMD Phenom 2 triple core processor, believe it or not. I'd never heard of them. Apparently, it was a quad core processor that for some reason they couldn't get it to work properly with all 4 cores, so they downscaled it to 3 cores. It's about the processor itself's about 10 years old, so the PC's probably about 9 years old or so, or coming up to 9 years old. The processor came out in December 2010. So yeah, it's coming up to 9 years old, the PC. It works okay with Mint. Battery life's terrible, but you'd expect that on a 9-year-old laptop, and get about 1.5-2 hours on it, even though it's showing that it's a good battery. I suspect it's probably a aftermarket replacement at some time in its life. It also runs really hot. The CPU draws about 35 watt at the top, so it kicks out some heat when it's going. Don't keep it on your lap for very long unless you've got a cooler underneath it.
Have you taken it apart, cleaned it out, and
I haven't
maybe replaced
yet.
some thermal paste?
Yeah, that's probably. I'll have to do a bit of research on it, see if I can see how easy it is to do that.
Well, it's probably a pain in the butt.
Yeah. It probably would run a bit cooler if I did that, but I'm not sure whether the effort's worth it, because it's not getting hot enough to go into thermal cutout or anything like that. And depending what I do with it in the end will depend whether I go to that trouble of stripping it down and repasting it. But it is a nice little machine. Runs great. Runs Mint fantastic. I was using it again yesterday at the lug, and no problems with it. So as well as that, I've been continuing to get to grips with Ubuntu 19.10 for the Distro Hoppers Digest review this month, which we're recording on Wednesday. I managed to get it looking a little bit more familiar for me using dash to panel. I managed to install a panel on the bottom of the screen and hide the side dock, and so it does feel a little bit more like home. But I've got to say, I'm still not a massive fan of the GNOME desktop. My personal choice would probably continue either on Mate or XFCE, but it works. It's Ubuntu, what can you say? It works. All the software I've used on it has been fine. And I've also been continuing to invest, and that's a code for spending all my money, on my new hobby of restoring Matchbox models. I bought a few consignments on eBay. I got some bargains with mainly 1950s and 1960s models, and a few of the later 70s ones. I've been investing a little bit more today as well. I've also been buying tools and equipment for repainting and getting the models up and nice and shiny. And I actually did my first restoration this weekend. I posted a few pictures on the mintCast Discord.
And it looked really good, Tony.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Thank you, Moss. But that was in the private section. Maybe I'll post something in the public section of the Discord channel. Just a couple of photographs. It was a Matchbox number 28 Mark 10 Jaguar, if anyone's interested. But that's about it for me this week. Go on.
I wanted to say, so the AMD Phenom 2 that you were using. Sorry, so I have this new 1080p panel, so I'm like moving everything around. But so the Phenom 2, I had it wasn't the mobile chip, but I had the AMD Phenom 2 955 Black Edition for the longest time. So this is where my AMD fanboyism started way back in the day. It was one of the it was the first 4-core I had ever had. I skipped the Intel Q series, but anyway, that CPU rode me into the sunset. It was fantastic. And on the GNOME thing, I didn't bring it up in my wanderings. I was planning on doing it next time, but I'm running GNOME Manjaro on my desktop a little bit. So I know what you're feeling about the whole GNOME thing, because it's Man, it's weird. It is so different. The thing that gets me is that hotspot up in the top left. Do you have that?
Yeah, you can deactivate that if you want to in the settings, which
I'm
I
coming
generally
to terms
do.
with it. I'm like, so at first I hated it, and then I didn't want to have to go out and get Gnome Tweak or whatever it was to go turn that off. But like, so I was so lazy that I didn't do that. And then maybe like an hour later, I realized it was one motion instead of one motion and a click. And I'm like, well, I don't really do anything else up there, so maybe I'll leave it. So I don't know. I'm getting to grips with it. It's okay. I'm still not sure how I feel about GNOME overall, but I feel the same kind of pain points you do.
I ended up installing Gnome Tweaks, Dash to Dock, and Dash to Panel to get everything out, the way I wanted it to look, and it still doesn't quite work in the same way as a normal panel on the bottom with a normal menu, but it's not far off.
Yeah. How about but you're on the Ubuntu one, so you do get desktop icons, right?
Yes. Yeah, you can get a few desktop icons.
Yeah, I'm trying to get used to not having them because the version that I've got does not do those icons. And there's many times I've been like, nah, throw it on the desktop. Wait, why does it not go?
I will point out that Zorin OS also uses GNOME, and it has managed to look very much like a GNOME 2 panel, and you do get icons. So you might want to check that out.
I'll check it out. Oh, speaking of Zorin, there was, I don't know, we might blurb it in a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's Ubuntu, with a desktop environment that I'm not particularly keen on. Ubuntu itself is fine. Got no problems with Ubuntu. And if I was going to use Ubuntu on a regular basis, I'd choose Ubuntu Mate or the XFCE version, Ubuntu. So, I started off with Ubuntu back in the day, and then when they introduced Unity, I went over to Mint. That was how I got back my familiar GNOME 2 looking desktop. So, that's me for this week. Moss, what have you got for us?
Oh boy. Let's see here. I sold an Asus memo pad to a listener. I hadn't even put it up for sale, but he asked what I had that was cheap, and I told him it was a turkey of a tablet. I had such high hopes for it when I bought it. I got about $12 for it and bought some groceries. Zorin OS 15 has just released their light version with XFCE desktop, and they did quite a lovely job on the desktop. It looks just like Windows 7 or Ubuntu Mate. I put it on my Kudu 3. I kind of like it. Yes, I am now triple booting the Kudu, which I bought to be a single boot system, but it's Core, Ultimate, and Light, all Zorin. During a period of digital frustration, I remembered I had a free partition on my Galago Pro 2. I eased my nerves by taking a few hours and successfully installing Sabayon. Yes, it took a while. Yes, it's Gentoo, but it's so sweet. I don't know what it is. It's just Sabayon looks and feels like a fun system. And everyone goes, but that's Gentoo. Well, that's true. It's nice. Try it. I made an attempt to boot my inherited Linux box. Sadly, the password was not what I expected it to be, so I couldn't log into what was probably an old version of Fedora. I attempted to install Linux Mint on it. This is where that earlier frustration came in. I ran into another instance of the grub not being written properly, and I could not get the CD drive to boot. Super Grub 2 disk. I had some discussion with a Telegram group of people, mostly Cryptodan and Peter Jones, and got frustrated, so I put the box away for a while. I promised to get back to it. The box is pretty nice, a mini ATX with 16 gigs of RAM and a 120 gigabyte SSD on a gigabyte motherboard.
Yeah, that does sound pretty nice. What's the processor on it, do you know?
No, I don't, but I could find out for you.
Okay.
It's not here in the room anymore.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
No.
What you could do is, boot up from a live CD or something, and you should be able to manipulate the password file, if I remember.
Well,
right.
I've
It's
already
been a long time since I've done something
I
like
have
that.
already blown away that installation.
Ah.
The grub got messed up by my trying to blow away the installation.
Okay.
Yeah, and some people said, well, there's this tool and that tool you can add to your live disk, your live stick. I'm going, yeah, but I start getting really messed up when people tell me to do things I'm not familiar with yet. I'll figure it out. I will. I have added some tiers and a donation link to my sponsors page. Now I just need to get some sponsors and donations. I found I'd opened 2 accounts at Reverb Nation sometime in 2014 and promptly forgotten about both. I've written to Reverb Nation to see if they can combine the 2 and then see if I can put the site to some use promoting my music. I did find a recording posted there that I didn't think I posted anywhere. And I just celebrated my 3rd anniversary, and Wednesday will be my birthday. Distro Hoppers Digest is set to be recorded. Yeah, my birthday. You got that?
I'm sorry. I'm having a difficulty hearing that last statement.
Distro Hoppers Digest will be recorded on my birthday, and then Tony should have it out the following Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, let's just say Mossy's probably the oldest amongst us.
What are you, like 25, 26?
Yeah.
Right. That's just like Joe says I don't look like I'm 255 pounds either. Anyhow, speaking of Joe, why don't we see what Joe's been up to? Hey, Joe. Turn your mic on, Joe.
Hey, I'm here. Okay, well, I listened to an audio drama / podcast. It was 2 seasons of Wolverine. Really good listen. I recommend it. I did have to really reduce my speed. I usually do for audio dramas, so I dropped from a 3 to a 1.5 to give it a listen, and it was still pretty short, but it was really good, so I do recommend it. And I've included the link, www.wolverinepodcast.com, and it is involved with Marvel, so like I said, pretty good. Give it a listen. And I also listened to Piers Anthony's Bio of a Space Tyrant. Most assuredly not a book for younger readers based on the topics, which are murder, piracy, incest, and sex with people that I would consider underage. I did listen to all 6 books in the series. Anthony is one of my more liked authors, and he has also written all his books on Linux machines since about 2000. This is a really well-read series. The guy doing the recording did a really good job. But like I said, in the end, I can't really recommend it to other readers. I didn't dislike it, but I find it hard to suggest for anybody else to read. Also, I'm listening once again to the Dresden Files, hoping that the new book comes out sometime soon. That's what, 15 book series plus a bunch of short stories, and I'm waiting for book number 16 to come out. And that's all read by James Marsters, and the author is Jim Butcher. Also, I finally did the keyboard replacement on that convertible HP laptop I was talking about, I think last show. I had to remove Linux and reinstall Windows for my daughter, but in order to get it to work right, I had to install Whoa USB onto one of my machines to make a bootable Windows 10 USB stick, and gave that to my eldest daughter so that she could give her laptop to her sister, who ruined another charging port on another tablet. And this one was the Asus Transformer T102HA, which I was using as a backup laptop in case something happened to my Dell Venue. And I will be taking it apart to see if I can fix that charging port, but charging ports are difficult to me. But that's two T100s and a T102 that currently have that problem. So I guess I'm going to have to learn how to fix it and get a hot air gun. I mean, I know the theory, but the practice is a little different. Also, yesterday, as a matter of fact, I had a problem with one of my Dell Venue 11 keyboards where not all the keys were working, and some of the keys, no matter how gently I pressed them, were doing multiples. So I'd like press P and 5 Ps would come out. So I had a spare keyboard with a bad battery. At least I thought that was the only problem. So I did a swap between the one with the bad keys, pulled the battery out of there and put it into the one with the bad battery, and it still didn't work. Well, it worked, but the touchpad would not work no matter how many times I disconnected or reconnected it. And well, it would work if the battery itself wasn't connected, so that was a little weird. So I pulled the touchpad off of the old one and swapped it over to the one with good keys. Still didn't work. So I swapped the cables for the touchpad, thinking it might be a cable issue at that point. Still didn't work. So I swapped the entire connector bracket that goes from the tablet to the keyboard, thinking it would be the last time I had to take it apart because there wasn't much else to do. And it wasn't. It still didn't work. The touchpad would not recognize at all when the battery was connected. So finally, I swapped out the main board, hoping that wasn't what was bad on the other keyboard, and it works great most of the time. There's still some issues sometimes on restart, but that seems to be a problem with all the keyboards for this device. Just disconnect and reconnect a couple of times and everything works. That was about 7 hours worth of work total with testing and reseating between each step to make sure that I had done things correctly. Also, I could have had it done much quicker if I just realized that I could, just moving the main board would have been easier. But I have 2 fully functioning keyboards again, and I know a lot more about how that keyboard is put together. I really need that extra battery power from those keyboards to make it through a whole day. But I'm still thinking about getting one of the soft keyboards without batteries just to have that simpler backup where I'm not worried about, what could break. And I did pick up a travel router, the GL iNet GL AR300M EXT. Works really good so far. The Easy Tether install worked like a charm, but T-Mobile seems to be detecting and throttling. It may just be detecting the router. More testing is required. More details in the innards. And that's really all I got. Tony Watts, what have you been up to?
Well, before I get into that stuff, I will say I admire your dedication. I am positive I would have given up on that keyboard repair several hours before you did, but well done.
Yeah, I'm a stubborn bastard.
So I see. And you were talking about the soft keyboards. I've made a bookmark on that too, because the 7130, that's my main complaint. I bought a used keyboard and the battery just doesn't last. So I would use it a lot more if I had a usable keyboard, and right now I don't.
Yeah, the replacement batteries for the keyboard, so if you want one that's brand new as opposed to one that's used and probably not going to work, you're looking at like $55 just for that battery.
Yeah, no way. Okay, well, moving into some of the piddling I've been doing, it wasn't as much constructive as it was just goofing off, but had a break off of work for the Thanksgiving holiday, and also took a couple of vacation days to be home with my boys when they were out of school. And most everything I did it revolved around playing some games, which I don't normally have time to do, so that was fun. But I started with a RAM upgrade on the machine that's in my living room, and how I missed doing this before, I don't know. I knew that the RAM was 4 gig, which was, underpowered, but I took the case apart, and there was just a big empty slot sitting in there, which you usually don't find, right? Usually you'll have a couple of slots and they're full, and you'd have to, chuck whatever's in there and replace. But I found for the princely sum of $10 American. Another stick to match the one that was already in it, and doubled the RAM to 8. So from there, I did some gaming. I played with some native Linux games, some Proton games, and also the PCSX2 emulator, which is the PlayStation 2 emulator on Linux.
Love that emulator.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I hadn't really messed with it before now is I think when I really was spending a lot of time doing emulation, I didn't have a computer powerful enough to run that emulator. I do now, and so I wanted to give it a whirl. And I tested a couple of games. I played Spider-Man 2, which is a really good game on PlayStation 2. And a couple of issues I was able to fix right away just with Googling. The main issue I noticed is the graphics were funky. And as you moved about, the graphics and the environment were all strange. I don't know how to explain it better than that, but I changed the graphics rendering from hardware to software, and then that cleared that right up. So from there, it went pretty well with the couple of games that I tried, but that kind of led me into a whole other rabbit hole once I started playing PlayStation 2 games. One of them was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And I remembered they had a PC game for that. So I installed that and played it on Proton. And it worked well. Yeah.
Let me make a recommendation on a game. It's actually a PS1 game, and that's
okay.
Armored Core Master of Arena.
Ooh.
Give that a try.
I will do that. Okay. The San Andreas game, I remembered they had a PC version of that. And so I tried it under Proton, and it worked well. I don't think I ever did the check to look on like Proton DB and see if how compatible it was under Proton. But in the experience playing it, it worked great. The only problems that I had occasionally coming out of loading a save game, it would crash, and so I actually, when I played it, I kind of just had a terminal running in the other monitor with top running, and when that happened, I would just go to that and kill it and fire it back up. And it was funny. I was running top, and then a voice in my head that sounded a whole lot like Leo was like, "Try H top." So I did that, and kind of
that would be me. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. And I basically came to the conclusion that under Proton, if you have a computer that's powerful enough to afford the extra overhead, it's probably a lot more fun. The computer that I'm running on, just a real quick rundown, is 4th gen i3. I have kind of a crappy NVIDIA card with 1 gig of memory. It's one of those low profile, low powered cards, and 8 gigs of RAM. So with that, I was able to run really old games with no problem. But one of the first ones I tried that didn't work, I was able to pick up a Steam key pretty cheap for one of the Batman Arkham games. It was Batman Arkham Origins, which had a good rating for compatibility. I think it was platinum for Proton compatibility, but the lag was just too much for it to be playable. So it worked fine in Windows, and I'm sure it works fine in Proton, but just
yes, it does.
Yeah, okay. Confirmed. I figured that was the case, but alas, not on my pitifully low-powered PC.
I will second the whole Proton thing, though. Absolutely. I play. If Bo were here, he would back me up on this one too. But yeah, I play World of Warcraft, and the one thing that I have to worry about, not Proton, but DXVK, which is Proton, what Proton lives on top of, is every time I have to do Mesa updates, because I'm on I guess you could call it like a rolling release driver PPA or something like that. Man, every time I install one, the performance is slightly better, but every time I run the updates, I have this mini little heart attack where it's like, oh my god, it's just not going to boot up. Watch, it's just not going to boot up, and then it always boots up. But yeah.
I had a good time. I'm not a gamer, and so I don't know if I'll invest in building a gaming PC anytime soon, but I can certainly see where if you have a little more oomph, you have a whole lot of options to play some games under Linux. The last thing I was going to mention, I did run a couple of native Linux games, and those were, of course, great. And the method of testing that I used for that was I put my 12-year-old kid in front of the computer and let him play whatever he wanted to out of the selections of native Linux games. And so he played Team Fortress 2 quite a bit. That's one that he likes, I guess. And I was interested in some others. I installed No Room in Hell, which was like a zombie shooter multiplayer, Counter-Strike Go. I haven't really played them, but I plan to. And I saw there were some other games out there natively for Linux that there are a couple of really good titles there. There's a Tomb Raider game and what was it? Shadow of Mordor, Lord of the Rings game. A couple others, but
if you're looking to build a budget gaming PC, Linus Tech Tips usually every now and again goes through and shows you how or what the lowest specs are that are good. And I know Hack 5, I don't think they do it anymore, but they used to do their $300 builds and $500 builds.
Hack 5, okay. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Linus Tech Tips because you've mentioned them before, and I have been watching a number of those videos. I have a TV in my kitchen with a Chromecast on it, and so if I'm doing stuff in the kitchen, I like to just kind of throw something on the tube and play it while I'm working in the kitchen. So Linus Tech Tips was this week's pick. I watched a handful of those videos. Pretty good.
Yeah, I think they're on Scrapyard Wars 8, which is always fun.
Yeah, I watched part of that. It was really good. But I guess a lot of that would have been good for one of our gaming episodes, but I didn't have a whole lot of time to put into gaming about at the time we were doing it. So once I did have some spare time to just goof off, that's what I did, and it was fun. So none of that is exactly breaking news, but perhaps we should move into some news.
Ooh, I guess we
Awesome
can.
segue.
Smooth.
Nailed it.
All right, so this fortnight we've got a lot of news. There was way more news than I was expecting. I think we even knocked off a couple of news articles so we could shorten this up a little bit. But with the turn of the month, that means we get a Linux Mint monthly news. This is probably the shortest one I've ever seen Clem put out, but yeah, we've got a cool few points, and the first one is all 3 editions of Linux Mint 19.3 passed QA, and they'll be announcing the beta release on Tuesday. That'll be December 3rd, or the day that you're listening to, the day after you're listening to this. Yeah, very cool.
That's before my birthday.
Then they also have so they put this in the blog post, and I don't know what this means, but they're being secretive about it. They have an unannounced change to the software section of the software manager, and there are 3 new apps that are going to be making their arrival. So, unannounced. Surprise! They're going to be Christmas presents, I think.
Sounds more like Halloween presents. They're being spooky on us.
See, I like Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. That's not a holiday, actually, yeah. And then the last thing they bring up is System Reports will now give messages from the tray. So this is going to give users access to if there are workarounds to specific issues that affect all Mint users, the solutions to them, any kind of information that they need to give you. And it's really going to be used for big announcements, right? So if you install the 19.3 beta, or you're on 19.2 and fully updated, you're going to get the announcement for 19.3 in this tray option. So they're backporting it to older versions of Linux Mint so that everybody gets access to this. So long as I read that right, that means everybody, if you're updated, is going to get this announcement directly from the desktop. So you don't have to, be reading the internet and stumble upon an article that says 19.3 is out. It is going to tell you straight from the OS. So that's going to be quite nice. Then next up, Moss is going to tell us a little bit about System 76 and their designs. So what's up with this?
Yeah, apparently they're going to start designing and building their computers from the ground up in Denver. Probably not all at once, but instead of just buying a Clevo or Sager machine and doing tweaks to the hardware and then putting Pop OS on it, they're actually going to be designing some of the hardware and eventually designing all of the hardware and not just assembling it in Denver. That's one of my wannabe all-time favorite jobs if I could get it. If I could breathe in Denver and if I could afford the rent in Denver. I spent a good part of my younger life there. That's really about it. They're getting a lot of really good comments on the designs that they've done on the cases and whatnot. The article linked in the show notes is from Jason Evangelo at Forbes. And enjoy.
Yeah, I gotta say, the designs are not for me, but they are nice designs. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a glass side panel kind of guy with way too many RGB lights. So yeah.
Yeah, you'd love
What, you don't
textures.
like wood sides?
Well, I was gonna say, right, their muted woodness is it's not for me, but it is pretty nice, man. And I could see how that could fit into an office setting, or someone that likes plants. It fits really well with like big leafy plants, I think. Next up, Kali Linux 2019.4 is released. So this is a pretty big change for them. I use Kali a lot because, I keep it on a flash drive, and just in case I ever need to recover something from a machine or do any kind of anything Linux, it's one of two Linux flash drives I have just around with me in my backpack with me all the time. And Linux Mint being the other. Try to keep that as current as I can. But Kali for all the other tools. So they're making some pretty big changes that I agree with. So I don't use XFCE as my main driver, but for in a VM or on a laptop that I'm unfamiliar with the hardware of, XFCE is pretty much always the right choice for me. It's super lightweight. And where I'm going with this is Kali 2019.4, that XFCE is now the new default desktop. So I feel like that's going to change, or that's going to shorten up the boot time a lot. And this is the feature that's kind of been making the rounds on the internet. Kali-undercover. So if you open up a terminal and type Kali-undercover, it will change the stock XFCE look to Windows. Just in case you needed something to look like Windows, you can run Kali undercover, and it will. The theme is actually pretty good. It really
no,
does.
No, boss, I ain't doing nothing really.
Right,
Windows.
exactly.
I'm just wondering if I could use that to trick the kids and the wife to make them think that they're using Windows.
It's possible. What I would do is I would put XFCE, some distro with XFCE on it, and then steal the theme. Kali running it as your daily driver is probably not the best thing to do.
That's a bad idea.
Or you could just use Zorin OS Lite with XFCE, and it still looks like Windows.
Now Kali Undercover goes like all in. They have the icons, they have the color theme, they have the Windows menu, like everything. And I'm telling you, unless you are really familiar with what Windows looks like and how it behaves, I really think it can fool some people. So if Zorin's like that, then go with Zorin. But otherwise, steal this theme. This theme is fantastic.
Man, I haven't loaded Kali in forever. I have to set something up.
Yeah, it's just for, I don't know. I'm kind of outing myself here, but it's when I need to run the John the Ripper or Hydra, and I don't want to install that on my main machine. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, see, if you wanna take advantage of Eternal Blue, and you would be
How are you going to test your own network without Kali?
Exactly. The OpenPass install is quite easy to do. Yeah. So anyway, just in case you needed some ideas, Kali will do it for you. So the Markdown overlords, they are winning. Kali's documentation is now in Markdown. And ButterFS is, I didn't flesh out the notes, but ButterFS is finally supported in Kali as well. but not by default. So you have to do a little trickery during the install to make it ButterFS. But looks like Kali is hopping on that train as well. They bring up the fact that most of the time you're going to be using Kali in a VM, but on the off chance that you're using Kali on bare metal, you need a way to roll back. Most VM hosts have like a snapshot utility of some kind to help you do that, but bare metal doesn't, and they're trying to create that feature by using ButterFS. So some really cool stuff out of the Kali shop. This is going to be the last update for 2019. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm really happy to be sticking this on my flash drive from now on. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. Now, Moss has got another one with Cape Technologies, and I know we were kind of waffling about what's actually what on this one. Did you get to the bottom of this?
I got it. Basically, Cape Technologies has acquired London Trust Media Holdings, which is the owner and creator of Privacy Internet Access, PIA. The deal came up to $127.6 million of cash, new stock, and debt to pick up the largest of the VPN companies. It gives them between their other holdings, which included CyberGhost and Zen, was it? Where's my notes?
ZenMate.
ZenMate, yeah. They now have like 2.1 million users between the three. They're going to be changing their name to PIA and changing the other two VPNs to PIA. Hopefully, they are going to be keeping PIA's policies and not be logging anything.
Hopefully.
Yeah, this is my VPN of choice. So if any of that policy changes, I'll be looking for somebody else. But
well,
if they
don't, they will have shot themselves in the foot clear up to the hip, because that's why people use PIA.
Yeah, exactly. I know that was the big thing back in the day when PIA first started up. That was, there were like lists every month of like VPNs that don't log you, and PIA was always on top of that list.
That and PIA's support for anything open source, really.
Oh yeah, but they stopped the who was it, Linux Journal?
Yeah, they started dialing back, but this is probably the reason. They wanted to stop that outgoing so that they could then sell the company.
As I see it, the reason for pulling out on Linux Journal was A, they were losing money, B, they were losing money, and C, they were losing money, and D, they wanted to sell the company.
Exactly.
Hopefully
they gave those guys time to get the all of their money matters in order, and it didn't really work out. So then they stopped paying money towards them.
I mean, the article did say they were 32 million in debt. That
a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
My hope is they'll still continue to be in the open source community and back projects and maintain that part of the culture, provided they're financially able to do so. It'll probably be a little while
before you hear that. Let them get everything settled first.
Yep.
All right. And Tony Watts has a little bit for us on kernel 5.4. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, it seems like we were just talking about 5.3, and 5.4 is now released. The primary feature of kernel 5.4 is a new kernel lockdown mode, and that should improve security a bit by way of separation of UID 0, also known as root, and the kernel. So we'll see what benefits we gain from that, but that should make things more secure. Other features, loads of AMD support added, including, Leo, listen to this, Navi 12 and Navi 14 GPUs.
Yes!
Along with additional graphics cards and a whole host of other AMD support. Also, lots of ARM support added, Snapdragon 855 in particular, and a whole bunch of ARM-based laptops, which I was glad to see. A couple of the all-in-one foldable, touchscreen laptop things that are powered with ARM processors. The HP Envy X2 and Lenovo Mix 630 were a couple that caught my eye that are in that lineup of those kind of devices. So that's good to see. hopefully we'll continue to see more support for Linux on ARM laptops going forward with this kernel. I think that may be about all I'm going to highlight on that one, but we'll have a link in the show notes to the article. It has a whole lot more detail.
Yeah, I know Moss really keeps an eye on the LTS kernel, so Moss, hopefully this piqued your interest as well. And I don't know what I'm curious to see what Ubuntu is going to come out with for the long-term support release. If they're going to go with 5.4 or if they'll go a little higher than that. I guess time will tell. We'll see how that goes. All right, and Joe's going to tell us a little bit about the kernel support on Android. So what's happening there?
Yeah, I was looking at this article, and it's really long and in depth, and so I'm going to break it down pretty simple for you. And the answer is maybe. And they already have one device, which I can't find that part of the article again. Oh, here it is. The Xiaomi Poco F1 actually running the mainline Linux kernel under the usual Android OS. But like the title of the article says, this is about getting the mainline kernel working for Android. It'll really help make it so that you get longer term support and it's not completely forking for each different device that is out there. Getting the mainline Linux kernel working on all devices would provide a much longer time for things like updates. But like I said, at the end of the article, after all this talking they do about Google trying to make it happen, they said that it might eventually.
Yeah, and so this is one thing that scared me away, because you were talking about security updates and how long a device gets it. That's what scared me away from Android in the first place. I'm not trying to throw my phone away every 2 years, because I do not. I can't afford it. I can't afford to go buy the newest flagship or whatever, but I need those specs. So I usually wait for a year or two, and then by the time I get my hands on one, there's only like a year or two of support left. And so swapping phones every 2 years is just not really an option for me. But if this happens, if they go forward with this, that would be fantastic. It would entice me to come back over to Android again, but the security stuff still kind of keeps me at arm's length, I think. But overall, I think it's going to be a good change if it goes forward.
Right. And running the mainline kernel would be nice, because then you would see a lot more phone development from developers. You'd see more versions of Ubuntu that end up working on a phone.
So, yeah.
Eventually, one day.
Does that mean that I don't think that's what that means, that because it has a Linux kernel, you wouldn't necessarily be able to run Linux software. You would just have better hardware support and longer term support, right?
I think you are right, but I still think you'd get more developers that would look at it more closely.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. That would entice me to at least buy one. So I imagine it might entice someone to code for one too.
If you're not opposed to flashing things like Linux Linux lineage and custom ROMs, you can get long support now. And I'm trying to think of Project Treble was the name of the Google project that went in that basically allowed the same base to be used, right, so that custom ROM developers can continue, putting out support for a phone and more easily write a ROM to it. That's just a side effect.
Right.
And, obviously the manufacturers can do that more easily too. And that's the bigger, more commercial benefit, but makes things real easy for the custom ROM community to keep a device alive for a very long time.
Right. But then again, you only see that with more mainstream devices. For your more obscure devices, you're not going to see a whole lot of people developing specifically for that, to keep it alive, to keep the security updates out there.
Yeah, true. I think you would, if you're going to continue to get updates on a device for a long period of time, you're going to need it to be a fairly popular device, just kind of anyway, in order for anybody to, whether it be the manufacturer or the community or whatever, to have enough interest to spend the time.
Right, and rooting and ROMing is not as popular as it used to be. I kind of wish that it was, but it's just not anymore for some reason.
Yeah. I can't even say that I recommend it. I'm hard pressed to explain why I still do it, but I do.
There used to be really big reasons for it, like around the Note 3 era and the S3 era,
Yes.
when Google, Android was cutting out support for direct access to your micro SD card and things like that. There were good reasons to root it.
Yep. You would actually
Yeah, I
get
think that was
performance
it.
gains too.
Because I remember running Paranoid Android for a while on, it was a Nexus something or another. And then I moved to Cyanogen mod after that. And then it turned out, I remember one of the things that, and I think this is probably why rooting and ROMing is less popular, but Android got good. They stole ideas from like Paranoid Android. They took a lot of the ideas of the modding community and just added them directly to Android, so less people needed to move altogether.
Yep, and I guess the reason I'm running Lineage now is because I expect the Lineage folks to keep putting out updates for this 1+3T that's approaching. I don't know. I guess it's 3 years old. OnePlus is going to stop putting out updates for it anytime. I have to tip my hat to them for updating it as long as they have, but there's no way they're going to continue very long. Whereas I imagine Lineage updates will continue.
Right. That's a good reason to do it.
Yep.
Well, speaking of phones, the Librem 5 is shipping. So, Tony Watts, tell us a little bit about this first impressions article.
Yeah, so people actually have this in their hands now, so that's exciting news. It's very much early adopter developer stage right now, so there are some flaws to be expected. But they're pretty big ones, to be honest. And so, of course, the internet's going nuts with this, and Reddit is blowing up with people, making a big deal out of the issues. But I think, Purism was very clear that the first lot of these to ship were going to have issues. These were going to be models primarily for developers, although some early adopter backers have them too. But some of the issues, the big one is even though it can make calls, it can't play audio for those calls, I believe was the issue there. And that's one people have been making a pretty big deal about. Some camera issues. The battery life is generally kind of meh. I guess it gets pretty warm after prolonged use as well. But just generally speaking, this is very alpha status. And I don't find any of this to be discouraging myself. I am encouraged that units are going out the door, that this is continuing, and we're seeing progress. A couple of other, things that have caused some buzz. Some former employees have expressed that the company has released disingenuous updates, and by that meaning they have tried to kind of cover up lack of progress by putting out updates that sound more promising than what things might really be. Again, I don't find that particularly odd or discouraging either, as long as it's not blatant dishonesty. That's kind of the nature of what a company does, right? They're going to make things sound as promising as they can and work through issues. So that's all kind of to be expected. I guess where I land on this and where a lot of people would land on this, kind of twofold. One, I'm glad to see the progress continuing. I think this is an important project. But two, I think you really have to believe in the Librem 5 in particular to justify backing it at $699, especially now the Pine Phone is coming and is $149. I fully realize this is, really, almost an experiment, I guess we would say. But, it's just, kind of mediocre hardware for $700.
Yeah,
really.
with the Librem phones, I know that they've tried this several times in the past, or at least a couple times in the past, and it always comes out to the same thing. You're paying premium price for a 3 to 5 year old hardware.
Yeah. And I think the people that can afford to do it are probably looking at it as a donation, which is great. I'm glad the project is there. But I am a little more excited about the Pine Phone and what they're doing with these really affordable Linux devices. And the Pine Phone is slightly under-spec'd compared to the Librem 5, but not a lot. And at $149, wow. I mean, that's exciting to see that that's coming. So we'll follow that closely.
All right, and next up, we finally get a release from the Glimpse guys. So, for those of you that may not remember or don't know, Glimpse is a fork of GIMP, and it was about quibbles over the name. So, however, the Glimpse guys do plan on adding their own feature set, but they do remind us on the release statement that it really is just upstream GIMP, at least right now. So the 0.1.0 release is based on GIMP 2.10.12, and GIMP is currently on 2.10.14, so they're slightly behind. And it looks like the Glimpse guys prefer Flatpak to install. So just in case you want to install it, Flatpak install FlatHub. Oh shoot, I always forget how to do the Flatpak thing. It's like org dot something something something. So just do a Flatpak search Glimpse first. Then do that.
I'm a rebel Leo. I've just installed the Snap.
Oh, so the reason that I say is the Glimpse guys put front and center Flatpak. I do know that there is a Snap install and an AUR install, but they make a point to put that under the community section instead of the straight up how to install whatever. So it seems to me their preferred way to install is Flatpak, but Snap and AUR do have Glimpse as well. I did install Glimpse like right before the show. So I didn't do anything in it, but it starts up. So, that's a plus for a not full release, I guess. So, really cool. Windows and Mac are also supported just as they are for GIMP as well. And so in the IRC, Popey drops a link to the Glimpse editor just in case you need that. Some easy clicky instead of having to type something out. Ooh, and a canonical engineer made the Snap. Very cool. So, I add a little bit of trust into that as well. And the last thing we have is, speaking of Gentoo from earlier, a US student was building a Gentoo-based distro for what, Moss?
I do not want to come off as the team's Gentoo expert here because I am not. But a U.S. student is in court. If he is found guilty, he could serve up to 20 years in prison for building a Gentoo-based distro for ISIS. Apparently, he was also allegedly created a Python script to automate saving ISIS multimedia from official social media channels so other members could repost it on their own accounts and help spread the terrorist group's propaganda. So we do have a link to the article on ZDNet. The OS was designed to, quote, prevent exploitation by intelligence agencies, end quote.
Ooh, boy. All right. Well, it's Linux's time to shine. What were they saying? In the Microsoft EULA, they do have a little subsection in there where it says you will not use Microsoft to build nuclear anything, right? Huh. Does Linux need that now too? We don't do terrorists, I guess, maybe.
Is it Linux for everyone? Yeah, I guess it is.
Talk to Jason Evangelo about that.
That's it. Well, a last little blurb on the Glimpse thing. We had so we know that there's a Snap that's available in snapcraft.io, and it looked like Heather Ellsworth is the one that she worked with the Glimpse team to package that up over on the Snap side. So I don't want to make it sound like Flatpak is the only way to do it. Go get it on a Snap as well. Heather worked hard on it. All right, well, that'll be it for our news, and we get to talk about I guess it's news too, but the somber side of the news, our security update. Let's head on that way. So in our security update, we have 3 links here. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly because it's more of an update, less of news. But if you're running on a D-Link router, you're going to want to check this out. So D-Link is planning on not fixing these routers. I have a list in the show notes, but it's basically a flaw, CVE 2019-16920, that D-Link will not fix an attack or a flaw that allows an attacker to bypass authentication entirely to get admin access to your router. Not good at all. So you can mitigate the issue on the outside, so from the internet side, by turning off remote management overall, but that does not stop the attack if they are already on your network. So I get it. I don't let untrusted people on my network, so they wouldn't have any, but it doesn't matter. These routers are already on the do not fix list, and there's no telling how many other flaws these devices have that D-Link doesn't know about, that security researchers don't know about, but they're on a list, and whatever comes out later is not going to get fixed. So do yourself a favor and upgrade to something else.
Current list is 13 models. There's a good number for you.
I made a quick attempt.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I made a quick attempt to see if OpenWRT was available for these particular models, and I hit on some D-Link models that definitely is an option for, but I was just kind of curious if that's maybe a good escape hatch for folks that already have this equipment, if they may be able to just flash it with different firmware.
I forgot about OpenWRT and DDWRT, though that would be an escape hatch because it's a totally different firmware. I know I was running on the DIR 615 for the longest time, and I'm glad I got away from it. But I think that one was supported by DDWRT, so maybe something to look into for sure.
This has also kind of been a common theme, at least for like the last 20 years or so, where routers simply won't get updates once a security flaw is found. I think most of the router companies, most of the companies that make routers, have had some kind of problem like this that they didn't go back and fix.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just like the phone manufacturers. It's the same reason that I don't like Android, because you get updates for 3 years, and after that it's just like, hope your phone doesn't get hacked. See you later. Never gonna update you again. Bye. And that just bugs the crap out of me. If you're gonna put something out and you're gonna put people in danger from things they don't even know about, then you should probably take care of these people. Now, I mean, you can't support everything forever, but man, I don't know. A couple of years just doesn't seem like it's enough. Anyway, Mozilla is increasing their bug bounty payouts, so if you are a coder or a security researcher in any way, you might want to take a look at this. So they're doubling their bug bounty payouts for critical core and other Mozilla sites, and tripling for remote code execution on the critical sites. So Firefox Monitor and Firefox Private Network are part of the core site. So if you can find yourself some vulnerabilities in these things, there's some money in it for you. And lastly, a Webmin attack. So we talked about Webmin, and I think Josh and I kind of bantered back and forth about it because he runs it on a couple of different machines. He wasn't affected by it at the time, but it looks like in episode 316, we covered this the first time, and now it's reared its ugly head, and Webmin is getting attacked by Mr. Roboto, the botnet. So the vulnerability we're talking about was from 316, finally got weaponized. Roboto, the botnet, is utilizing the flaw to be able to create a reverse shell, run commands, and run files from within URLs, and do DDoS, as well as self-uninstall. So this means that unless you've got some really good auditing, Roboto might be able to do what it needs to do and get out before you ever know anything happened. And unless you're going back and checking, you may never know. So episode 316, go check that one out. We also have a link in the show notes for some recommendations on what to do. But short and sweet, update Webmin. All right, well, that's it for our security update. So we'll head into Linux innards. So in this Linux innards, we are talking travel networking. And Joe's got the bulk of this because Joe is a traveling crazy man, does everything remotely, same as he does locally. So we're going to let Joe take us away and tell us a little bit about this. And I think both I and Tony have some things that we can add to it here at the end. So Joe, take it away.
Welcome to the Joe Show.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Now
All
presented
right,
by
now-
Arch.
I want to start this off by saying that, most people just use their cell phone as a tethering device and just, turn on the hotspot, and that's good enough. And it really is, for most people, you don't need that little bit of extra. But if you do, that's what I'm here for. The first thing is get a travel router, unless you want to set up one of your laptops as a hotspot. I suggest the GL iNet GL AR300M if you want a robust machine. Comes stock with OpenWRT and 128 megabytes of NAND flash, which allows you to install applications. It does not have 5 gigahertz, which is a con, but still works well enough on the 2.5, 2.4. And on mine, I installed Easy Tether and Nano using OPKG. Otherwise, if you want a really simple setup, I suggest the TP-Link MR3040, which is a lower cost device, has a built-in battery. It can run OpenWRT, but because of the shortage of internal memory, I don't really recommend it. Just run it stock. Setting up a netbook as a router with DNS mask is not too difficult, and while it adds to complexity in some ways, it removes some other complexity when you're accessing specific EULAs. If not one of those routers that I suggested, then try something that is 5 volts. I know a couple of podcasters that stand by the Hutu Titan, which I believe has a built-in hard drive and a built-in battery, and from what I understand, it works very nice. The 5-volt travel routers are nice because you can use any cell phone charger or USB port. Comparatively, the 12-volt or higher voltage routers have more functionality, but are more limited in where you can hook them up. And you have to jump through a couple more hoops to be able to do things like hook it up in your car. The point of getting a setup like this is that you can set the Wi-Fi to be the same name and password as the one from home. This means that everyone's devices will almost automatically connect. If you've got 3 kids and a wife, then you just set it up and voila, everybody's connected. But because it is a different device, depending on, what you're using, you might have to tell your devices to connect to it the first time, but the password will already be stored, so it will connect. This means that you will be able to take it to the grandparents' house and just hook up the Ethernet cable and everyone will be ready to go. Instead of having to go through and put in the password for a new network on every single device. This device can also be useful while traveling down the road. You can set up a local area network in your vehicle and have one of your devices act like a server and provide media to all the other devices. Texas is a big place that takes a long time to drive across, with many open spaces with very little cell connectivity. A simple low-power device like a netbook or a Pi, which keeps things at 5 volts, and a Plex server can provide endless entertainment for the kids and passengers. The server is why you need something that can set static IP addresses, which is why I was recommending DNS mask on your laptop. Otherwise, the OpenWRT or any other router software will be able to give you that option to set the static IP, and then you can just tell everybody the address to access your Plex. Like I was saying before, usually your phone is more than good enough for your listening needs, but if phone memory is a premium, it may also be nice to have a music server set up. So once again, same thing, setting it up on another device, having that hard drive there with all your media on it and being able to access it on a local network. As for hotels, the setup is mostly the same as for at the grandparents' house with some addendums. Many hotels limit the number of devices that can be connected at one time. The router is a good way around that. The easiest way to get up and running is to allow your phone to connect to the Wi-Fi and then use Easy Tether to provide that connection to the router. This, however, can be limiting to speeds. You will also need to use the phone's browser to get past whatever login screen the hotel has. The next way to do it is a little bit more complicated. You have to hook the router directly into the Ethernet, if you're lucky enough to have a hotel with Ethernet. Then you will need to connect your laptop to the router Wi-Fi and use SSH /L to forward port 80 and then go through the login screen. All your other devices should then work fine. I also recommend using a VPN, which I will cover soon. Well, now. Especially on a hotel network, you don't know who else has access to that network, and that little bit of extra security to prevent them from just being able to get straight onto your device. Okay, a VPN is a great tool while traveling. It has two main uses. One is security. The other is giving you access to your entire home network without opening more than one hole. We have done other shows where we talked about how to set one up and why your public internet connections should always be encrypted. So if you have home servers and you have access to the internet and you set this up, you have the VPN there, and it's just like you're on your home network and you have access to everything. Now, I've talked about Easy Tether a couple of times, and it is an application that allows you to connect your phone, tether your phone to other devices. It's pretty easy to use. You need the Android app and the server/drivers. You need to go out to the Easy Tether drivers website and grab the proper one based on the processor or operating system that you have. For the AR300M, I needed the AR7XX drivers, which I had to extract from the zip and push to the device's TMP location using, I used SCP. Then I used OPKG to install and had to use the command EasyTether USB to get it listening. I also needed to make that command run at startup, which is a matter of adding it to the RC. So I do have full instructions here on how to do that. I don't know if you guys want me to go over that or not. What does everybody else think?
Hey, we got the instructions. It might be easier not to.
Okay, yeah, but it's just creating a shell script with the proper header and then making sure that it's added to the proper location and made to run. I also included a link on where I got those instructions. And then you also need to add the interface for the network. And I used cat EOF to do it. Now, I know I installed Nano so that I could do the first portion, but not everybody's going to have that ability to install Nano. So this is how you can do it using cat, which is already built into OpenWRT. And those instructions are also in the notes. On the phone, you need to turn on developer mode and USB debugging. With a laptop running Ubuntu, it is a matter of installing the drivers and then turning off your other interfaces before connecting your phone. You will also need the proper drivers for your device as well as ADB. I also found out something pretty disappointing. My cell company now detects Easy Tether usage and throttles like any other tethering, which is really annoying. I mean, I was getting really fast speeds. I think it was, I can't even remember the old speeds, but now I'm sub 1 Mbps in a lot of cases, which is horrible. And yes, I am still looking for a workaround for that. And if I find one, I will get back to you and let you know about it. And really, that's all I got. Leo, how about you?
I remember there was a workaround for that. It had something to do with traffic that is being sent. I remember you had to differentiate your traffic and make it look like it was coming. You had to make it look like it was from. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you had to change the speed with which it was being sent to like 65.
It was a TTL. Yeah, it was the time to live on your packets. You had to actually
live on the packets.
You had to increment that by 1.
Yeah. I tried that fix. It did not work. I looked at the Ton Zero, but that's a Windows fix, and I'm looking to see if there is a Linux equivalent for that. but I'm not finding it yet. I might also try to make my Chrome browser look like the Android Chrome browser and see
Okay.
if that works. But I haven't found a proper workaround yet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the TTL one is pretty low down. I don't know. It's always a game of cat and mouse with a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what they're pulling down to identify that you're using something else. That's interesting. Huh. All right. Well, um, for me, my travel is different. Um, well, I don't think it's really that different, but I attack these things a little differently, I guess. So most of the apps I use are directly on my phone. So if I can bring a pair of headphones that has a mic in it, I'm pretty much golden, at least for connectivity between me and anybody that I'm trying to get a hold of, right? Because I'm on Telegram, Discord, I can get access to Twitter, all of that kind of stuff. I have the Mumble app on the phone as well, so that's as long as I got the mic, I'm good for that as well. Although the last time I tried to use it, it just refused to send my voice. So I don't know. I had to troubleshoot that, but it did work before. I'll say that. But usually when I'm away from the house, I do my best to disconnect at least for short amounts of time. So in the times where I would be trying to get on Telegram in a area where there's just no connectivity at all, it's just nice. I'll take a breather and put it in my pocket and not to think about it. But I don't know, man. Internet culture is really addictive, so it's hard to disconnect a lot of times. But mental fortitude is a premium, so yeah, I try to get as much relaxation in as I can. But if I do need to access things from my house when I'm away, I do have a VPN. So I use OpenVPN and I use certificate authentication for myself. So I have a user. Oh, yeah, I think I actually have a username and a password and a certificate as well. So I do both. But the idea with that is that most of the time what I'm trying to access on my phone are notes that I've got backed up in Nextcloud or something like that, or pushing and pulling files. I found this cool image or something like that, and I want to back that up. I'll push that to Nextcloud, and all I got to do for that is just flip on my VPN, hit the Nextcloud app, and I'm done. And to be honest with you, my VPN's on all the time, so I don't even really have to think about it. I just flip over a couple pages, hit on the Nextcloud app, and I'm there. And then I also do some news gathering as well, though Peter Jones is doing a really awesome job in Telegram, kind of keeping us up to date on what's coming down. And then I guess the other stuff that I try to get a hold of is my vSphere host. So I run a bunch of VMs at the house as well, and then I also have separately, I have a NAS. So those devices I can hit directly after I've turned on my VPN. So really, it seems to me the only time that I am fully actually disconnected is when I am out of service. And I guess that would pretty much kill anybody, though. So the only other thing that's I guess different that you don't need a VPN to hit on my stuff is my Plex. And if we know that we're going to be in a place where there's either not going to be internet or it's just going to be really, really slow, so the streaming is not going to be available for me, the Plex Sync feature is pretty fantastic. Now, I think, though, this is a feature that you only get if you buy Plex. I'm not positive on that, but I think that's the case. And yes. I bought the Lifetime a year ago, something like that. It was on sale for $70, so I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to pay that in about a year anyway, doing the $5 a month thing. So I bit the bullet, paid it, and at least with the sync feature alone is fantastic, because my workaround before I had sync was SSHFS using an app on my phone and pulling the files down to my phone and sticking them in a video directory and then letting VLC attack those videos. Now that actually worked pretty well, but it wasn't something that I could give my daughter and just be like, hey, look, find the videos that you want to and click the little down arrow. It was more involved in that, and she's 4. So like I can tell her, push this button. If you like this movie, push this button And when you take your thing away from the house, it'll still work. And she can definitely understand that. She's got that figured out. So yeah, that was worth $70 to not have to try and teach my 4-year-old daughter how to mount a file system over SSH onto an Android device or something. It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
But other than that, oh, go ahead.
No, breaking things down for simplicity so that everybody else finds it simple is a really good thing.
Yeah, because I think I'm caught in the middle, right? Like I love to dig in and tinker and figure out cool workarounds that prevent me from ever spending any money, like the SSHFS fix. But yeah, I mean, I'm also between a rock and a hard place here because I have people in my house that are not into technology, and the idea for them is just like, why can't I just press a button and make it go? So yeah, and that's the whole entire reason why I have Nextcloud as well, so my wife can jot notes down. We can share files between each other easily, all from a phone, and you don't really have to think about it too terribly much, right? I mean, it's like learning Google Drive instead of learning how to push files over the network using SSHFS or Samba or something like that. So yeah, it's a simplicity and ease of use kind of thing that, at least with Nextcloud, I didn't have to pay for. But come Christmas, I like sending out fivers all over the place, so they're probably going to be a recipient of a whole $5. Anyway, so Tony, tell me about how you get on with all this remote shenanigans stuff.
I think most of what I have to say is kind of really ties in with that last bit that you were talking about with Plex Sync and bringing local media. Really, very simply put, I would just say no matter what you think the network connectivity is going to be where you're going, just plan for there to be none and have a plan for that. And then you won't be disappointed if that's the situation you find yourself in. So how I will usually deal with that is pretty simple. External hard drive loaded up with movies and, media. And what I would recommend and what I've done before is bringing either a set-top box or like a Raspberry Pi, whatever your solution, running Kodi so that you can play off of that. Now, what I can suggest as a pro tip, if you're running a Raspberry Pi with something like Batacera, which you can also do on a laptop, that will give you the option for both Kodi and RetroPie. And my family has had a lot of fun playing the retro games on the RetroPie, which is quite portable. So that's a good suggestion. Also, if you have a RetroPie installation, I think we talked about this on a show before, you can also install a Kodi plugin for RetroPie. And then in that situation too, you have both of those just living right there on the same SD card, and you can play some games and watch some movies and do all that fun stuff with the family with a really portable piece of gear, and you don't have to worry too much about network connectivity if that's not available. Last thing I would say, and I always do this, is scope out what's around, and that's something you're going to want to do anyway to see what's to eat, and is there a Starbucks nearby, just so you know if you need to get some work done and you find yourself with a network connectivity that's not what you thought, and you need some internet and you have to go get some work done, you can just kind of skip over to a nearby coffee shop in case of emergency, and you'll know where that is.
Yeah, I do this a lot with my phone. I'll pop it out and just see what kind of Wi-Fi is available, and if there's something trustworthy. And trustworthy is in a really weird kind of position here, like Starbucks or something like that, right? I'll do that with a VPN. And yeah, you're right. Just in case you get work done, that's always a good idea. And I forgot, I do have that Stream laptop I got a few months ago, and that does have Batacera on it. So in a pinch, that's a way to spend some time, play some video games or something like that. Heck yeah, man. All right, well, that's it for our vibrations. That's it for our Linux innards. Now we can move on to our vibrations from the ether. And in this vibrations from the ether section, Moss is going to start us out with an email from David. Go for it.
Well, David writes, "Hi, guys.
Just been listening to your latest podcast. On my main Linux laptop, I use Mint 19.2 Cinnamon. I have 2 older machines on which I run Sparky Linux and Mageia with no problems. Replied, I've never tried Sparky Linux, and you all on the laptops I've owned. I am not remembering the actual problems, but at this point it's still wishful thinking for me to expect to review it for Distro Hopper's Digest anytime soon. I'm working with Zorin OS 15 this month and hope to give Manjaro another shot next month. Keep having issues, too many to actually do a folder. Linux machines are all run 64-bit and work fine providing configs. I am using Minimal GUI, which provides basics, and use it as a file server for the other 2 machines. Connectivity being provided by gwake onlen, SSH, and connect to server. On Mageia, I am running 7.1, and the only 2 issues I currently have are 1, cannot get snapshots to work, and 2, I can find no way to change DNS provider. Keep up the good work on the show, David.
How weird is that though? They can't can't find a way to change DNS provider. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but you should be able to do that in whatever Mageia uses for their backend. I know Ubuntu uses NetPlan now, but I suspect he's got a GUI, right? Yeah, minimal GUI. So weird. I don't know if the minimal GUI doesn't have it in there, then you might just have to drop down to the command line to get it done. But the downside to that is Mageia. Is that a Red Hat-y kind of thing? Where does Mageia come from? Moss, do you know?
Oh boy, Mageia is out of the Mandriva stream.
So it's not quite Red Hat, but it's closer.
Well,
so they might use the network
Mandrake
scripts
broke
thing.
from Red Hat real early on, but yeah, kind of a little bit. Mageia was the developers of Mandrake taking over, just like Rosa is the professionals. They run the professional version out of Russia, and then Open Mandriva is based on that, and it's a community-based.
Interesting. Yeah, just a quick Google search. I can't really figure out what it's based on. So it may not be based on anything. It may be their own thing. So, yeah, to be honest.
Well, like I said, Mandrake was based on Red Hat, but really, really early on, and then they merged with Connectiva out of Brazil, and I'm not sure where they came from, but they got it worked out.
Got it. All right, well, cool. So, yeah, I was hoping to just have some kind of thing to look forward, but it's in Etsy Networking. It's in Etsy, I think it's Scripts or something. I can't remember the Red Hat one. Or it's in Etsy NetPlan. Those are the 3 that I see networking-wise. If you want to dig down to the terminal and figure out that DNS thing, that's where it'll be. Anyway, if you want to send us an email again, David, then I might be able to help you look in and figure out what's going on. Anyway, so next up we have an email from Henrik Hemren, and Tony's going to take that one.
Yeah, I'll take this. Henrik wrote a comment regarding episode 321.5. Dependence on proprietary software. I would rather say software not available for Linux. One issue you touched upon is handling of your legacy, all data you already have in a software that you cannot be read by Linux software. Of course, the same issue for whatever OS or even releases you move between. For me, that can be how I would get all metadata, face recognition data and more from my current DAM Digital Asset Manager, to one of those available in Linux, or how much work I'm prepared to redo manually. Regarding distros for beginners, if I'm not going for any mint flavour and looking for an elegant desktop, I was thinking of Elementary. I've only tried it briefly, but I think it can be an option for the beginner, especially if the beginner wants something resembling Mac OS desktop. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think Elementary is a really good starting point as well. If you really like that Mackie kind of paradigm with the launcher on the bottom. I know that's how I ran Mint for a little while, but it did take some doing to actually get it to look that way. But yeah, if you like that, dig into that. That's a really good operating system to get on.
Well, I would say if they're looking for a Mac OS lookalike, they should also look at Perl Desktop 8.
I've not seen it. So does it look like that out of the box?
It really does, and it's got a lot of really good features. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It sure does. Like, it's got that old metallic looking Mac feel to it too. So like 10.10 or 12 or something. I can't remember when they changed the look of that. But yeah, it was a few versions ago. That really is what it looks like. Wow.
I will say that you may have some political issues with it because there are some plugins and things that they put in that distro that you may have problems with, or you may rejoice in. It depends on how much you're a fan of the likes of InfoWars and whatnot.
Always fun. All right. Well, next up is an email from K Wisher from MeWe. So some feedback on it was the last episode, and he was asking. He said, curious as to why you prefer to install all those apps you mentioned via Flatpak instead of from the repos. Shotcut is the only one not available via repo. Discord app is a toss-up, as I did find a deb installer. How do Flatpaks stay updated? And before I got to it on the show, Mr. Kevin Schneider runs in and says, go into system settings, startup applications, and turn Flatpak on and restart. And in the terminal, type Flatpak update. So yeah, it seems to me Flatpak update will take care of it for you. But, and you know what? I didn't actually check that, but let me check it now. I don't know. Yep, Flatpak surely is. Oh, yeah. Yep, that's absolutely right. So that is why it's running updates for me. So every time I start my machine, after 20 seconds, Flatpak runs a Flatpak update. Now, I know I did not put this here, and I'm pretty darn sure that I didn't turn it on. So I think by default in Linux Mint, this is being applied by default.
That would totally make sense.
Yep, and oh yeah, that's right, because look, when I dig into it, it looks like it says mint install -update -Flatpak. So Mint has a way to invoke the Flatpak updater as well. So yeah, this is done stock. So K-Wisher, if you're running on Mint, then it's already taken care of for you. But if you want to run it manually, a Flatpak update. If you don't reboot like ever, then Flatpak update will take care of you. But and that was just kind of off the cuff, but I actually wrote some response back to him, and I said, the more I've used Flatpak, the more I've fallen in love with it. My biggest pet peeves with Snap was the slow startup time and the broken theming. And as far as the slow startup, it's non-existent in Flatpak. When I click on something, it's there. It feels like it's native to the operating system rather than, and I think it's just the fact that it's the calculator. You click on the calculator and it takes forever. And I'm like, I just need to type some buttons. So Flatpak doesn't seem to suffer that same issue, though, you know, that's just a pet peeve kind of thing. I mean, if you can wait 3 seconds, it's fine. But the theming is a little more hit and miss. So I think both in Flatpak and Snap, the themes work sometimes and they don't work sometimes. But in my experience, just in the apps that I use, Flatpak's theming seems to work slightly better than Snap's theming, though I could probably just be using the wrong apps to showcase Snap. So, you know, this is not to say Snap is bad or anything like that. But with with Discord, it was just easier. It was in the software manager. You type in Discord, you click install, it's done. You don't have to go and hunt the Discord website, download the deb, double click on the deb, click install, wait for it to install, and then click OK. You don't have to go through that process. It was software manager, Discord, install, done. So that was the reason I did Discord that way, though I can totally appreciate installing it in the deb because behind the scenes, it's really just doing the same thing. It's self-updating itself. Discord doesn't actually take updates from those services as far as I know. It takes care of it itself in the background. But Audacity is the latest. Mumble, the latest. Handbrake, the latest. Shotcut, the latest. All these things, all these apps that I like to see the newer versions of are the latest. So that is a big reason why I use Flatpak. The base installation, the base distro can stay the same while Audacity is getting the latest and greatest and Mumble is getting the latest and greatest. I mean, that was on Mumble 1.3 and Linux Mint 19 will never see that. Not in the repo, and nor will Ubuntu 18.04 or any of its derivatives, just because that's just not how those repos work. So latest and greatest is a big reason. And so back on the Flatpak update thing, seems to me Flatpaks update themselves. I've got Shotcut, which I installed at the beginning of the year. I've never run the Flatpak update command, as Kevin Schneider said, but yet I'm still running the latest version of Shotcut 19.10.20, which was released on FlatHub on October 19th, just a few days ago. And then to kind of square this circle, it's because the startup applications has a Flatpak updater built into it. So, yeah. So thanks for writing in, K-Wisher. I appreciate that. And yeah, we fleshed out a little bit of Flatpak stuff, something that I didn't know. So thank you, Kevin Schneider, for also stepping in and helping out with that. I do appreciate that. Well, that's it for our check this out this go around. Wow, I'm just jumping ahead. That's it for our vibrations from the ether section this time around. So let's head on down to check this out. So in this check this out section, I've got one thing, and this was originally in our news section, but we had already covered it in the news, but kind of a bit of an update on this. The Girl Scouts now join the protest over the sale of .org. This is turning out to be a really not good situation. Because on the last show I covered it, it was an equity firm. They bought it out, and equity firms do one thing. They squeeze money out of whatever they buy. So what do you think is going to happen with the price of .org domains? And, you know, this affects me personally I have leochavez.org, but this affects the show because mintcast.org is mintcast.org. And the real issue that's coming out of this is, yeah, sure, we can go get mintcast.io or mintcast.info or mintcast.net or whatever. There's a domain out there right now that has mintcast.whatever that we can use from now on. But think about what that means for websites that have existed on the internet for years and years and years and years. And people talk about link rot all the time and how it's a plague on the internet and how these resources are no longer available. Think about that in a, I have this one blog post that had the answer to my question, but I saved it 2 years ago and I click on that link and it goes nowhere now. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen with all of the links to episodes of mintCast going forward if the equity firm does what equity firms do with things and starts charging people $100, $200, $500, $1,000 to re-up your domain. Like they removed the price fixing right before the sale of .org, so there's no cap on it anymore. And an equity firm bought it, which means they can just do what they want to with it. So
you're a little carried away there, Leo. They have applied to remove it. They have not been approved to remove it yet. You know they probably will, but we could always do like Jupiter and just have mintcast.show and move our stuff. Yeah.
Right, but that's the problem that I'm kind of getting at with if we do move it from .org, then the rest of the internet that was ever pointing at mintcast is broken. And that's not good. That's not good at all. But I get it. If we got to move, we got to move, and that's it. But hopefully we don't got to move. Now I'm getting off my soapbox, so Moss can have us check this out too.
Well, I just found out about a Kickstarter for a Vala phone. It's a privacy-based phone running Linux or running AOSP, but they're going to leave it unlocked so you can run Ubuntu Touch, and they ends December 15th. There's a link in the show notes. There's a lot of cool things about this phone. It's somewhere between the Pine phone and the yet to be proven phone from those other guys. It looks like it's going to be a fun thing to look at. I don't have 300 euros and I don't live in Europe, so that I'm left out for now. I also have the Synapse 18 years old. That's 2 years. Anyone still using Synaptic? I do all the time.
I think about it, but I never install it because if I need to get something very specific, I'll just use the terminal most of the time.
Yeah, no. I what was I using? It was the successor to Crunchbang Bunsen Labs. Had Synaptic, and I found myself in there. I was like, whoa, that's a lot trickier to maneuver than what we have now, I think. But I remember it.
I use it less than I used to, but I still find it useful if you're not sure exactly what utility you're looking for or what bit of code you're looking for. Because you can type in a generic search and it'll pick up things that'll do that.
Well, I use it when I'm looking for something and it's not already in the software center, because you can always find it in Synaptic. If Ubuntu has ever used it, you can find it in Synaptic. Okay, and my last bit here is Microsoft users can now run Puppy with just a few mouse clicks. They have developed something called the Lick installer. There is no CD, DVD, or USB stick needed, and Lick can be used with any distro and is MIT licensed. They use Puppy to demonstrate the concept, but anyone can go in and apply it to whatever they want to use. So that's it for me.
Okay, I wanted to talk about the One Netbook One Mix S Yoga. It's the same processor as the GPT Pocket 2 and really the same form factor. The only difference is you can rotate the screen 360 degrees. And I was looking at it and I wanted to, because I think I've brought similar devices before and talked about them. I wanted to talk about this one because of the price, which is $770, which is absolutely nuts. Because the M3 8100Y scores in the 2500 range on Passmark. And like my tablet, the Dell Venue 11 Pro 7130, scores about the same. This is $770, and I can get my tablet for sub $200. And if you're looking really close, I think there's an i5 version on eBay right now available for $70 that probably just needs a new battery, and an i3 version that is running for $45 that probably also just needs a new battery and maybe a new USB charging port. So there are other devices out there. I mean, I'm still interested in this form factor, and I would love to have one, but as long as it's in that $770 range, I'm not going to do it. And that's the same for the GPT Pocket, which I think sits in the $600 to $700 range, the GPT Pocket 2. I don't know. What's your guys' opinion on that?
I'm with you, Joe. It's way
you can't even
too
use
much.
it as a phone.
Right? Well, you can use it as a Wi-Fi phone using Hangouts the same way you would any laptop. But yeah, I see what you're saying there.
I guess it all comes down to, do you have the budget for that? And I don't.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of my issue as well. Like, I'd love to try all these different things, but I just do not have the money for it.
Exactly. I would love to have one. I would love to test one out. I'd love to be able to do a review on one. I'd love to carry one around in my pocket all the time. I'm not going to pay $770 to do it, though.
Maybe they'll donate 7 test copies to the team.
Yes.
Oh,
Donate one to the team. We'll pass it around. It'll just end up on me, and I'll keep it for forever.
Hey.
We'll see.
Okay, Tony, with bated breath, because I'm using it right now, you need to tell me about this app.
Okay, so this is a command line utility, NCDU. I've been using it the last few days, largely because I'm running pretty small SSDs in a couple of machines, so I have to watch my disk space pretty closely. But it's a utility that will analyze your disk storage and what files and directories are eating up your storage. And for me, it was just something I could use to see what directories I need to clean out to keep the keep my disk usage down on these teeny weeny little SSDs. So NCDU.
All right, so I wanted to add a little bit to this because this was really intriguing to me, and I had to install it, and now I'm using it. So I've fallen in love already. That's fantastic. So if you're familiar with a GUI desktop, probably a GNOME type distribution, you're probably familiar with Baobab, which is the graphical thing that did this. If you're on Windows, it's akin to like WinDirStat. Basically, just goes through your whole file system and tells you what's used and what's unused and where all your space is being eaten up, right? So NCDU is so fantastic. It's DU. So if you've ever used disk usage before in the terminal, this is a terminal-based UI for it. And it is so fast. Oh, wow. I couldn't believe it. So like usually when I'm running WinDirStat in the Windows machine, it takes forever to actually get everything. This ran, I swear it was like 6 seconds, had everything on my entire disk. And now I'm just kind of back and forthing through it, looking at my mintCast folder is 144 gigs. That's kind of big. That's what you get for editing on the same laptop, right? So yeah, it's just so fantastic. I just love anything text-based UI. So if you catch me geeking out about something, it's probably about a text-based UI, and this one's fantastic.
Yeah, it took about 2 seconds to install because I just did it right now. And it just finished running. And yeah, this has all been since you started talking about it.
Yep,
nice.
It's so good. The one thing I noticed though, because I was singing the praises of the community and Snap a little while ago, the opposite side. So NCDU, when you install it in 1804 or later, you're going to get 1.12-1 or later. In Snap, for some reason, it's 1.11, so it's an older version. I couldn't find it in the Snap, the Flatpak repo at all. So apt may be your best bet here. So
Snap.
No, Snap was an older version.
Oh,
Snap was 1.11.8, and the apt version is 1.12. So
I'm using the older version then.
Ooh, but it works just fine, right?
Yeah. The only thing I see about it is it only did the primary hard drive.
Ooh, I wonder if there's some options that you can pass to. I bet you there is.
I would think
Has
so.
to be.
I assumed this would be something that you guys were already aware of and that it was just fairly well known, and I was one of the only ones that didn't know about it. So I'm glad it was a good check this out.
Never seen it before.
Yeah, seriously.
Cool.
So it looks like if you do NCDU-H, it'll give you some help, and it's not too terribly clear how exactly you just tell it to, look at this disk or this directory or something like that. Import scanned directory from file. So maybe you just you pass it a list of directories in a file, and then it just looks through those direct. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Well, I'll play with it.
You know, us newbies are still using the disk usage analyzer graphical thing.
It's still a good tool.
Part
it
of
just
Mint.
Takes a little longer.
Oh yeah, for sure. So and
yeah,
underneath the hood, that's
a while.
Baobab. Yeah, that's Baobab. So these are fantastic tools if you want to just dip your toes into the terminal waters and kind of like, I don't do terminal, but I kind of wanted to check it out. NCDU is going to be a really good tool to just dip your toes just a little bit and get used to how the terminal works and navigates. Anyway, fantastic pick, Tony. That was awesome. All right, well, that's it for Check This Out. And we have one announcement, our usual announcement. The next episode will be December 15th, 2019, 2 p.m. Central U.S. time, and I believe that's 8 p.m. UTC. So on our way out, Joe, tell me a little about where we can find you outside of the show.
Well, I'm on a couple other podcasts. I'm on Tilts, and that's at www.tllts.org. I'm on the Linux Lugcast, which is at linuxlugcast.com. We need to adjust that in the show notes. There's no longer www in front of it. You can find me on MeWe, and you can hit me up at jb@mintcast.org.
Nice. And Bo's not with us today, but you can find him at theundercastnetwork.com. What about you, Moss?
What about me? Oh, you can find me at Triad Bardic College, Peaceful Hippo, on MeWe. My music's on Bandcamp and on my YouTube channel or Robert Warren's channel. I should have my Reverb Nation site back soon, as discussed earlier. Also at mintcast.org, DistroHoppersDigest at gmail.com, at my sponsors, now with tiers and a donate button. That's not tears as in crying about it, but as I get some sponsors, I might be crying about it. Yeah, okay. How about you, Tony?
Okay, well, you can find me on HPR. I'm host ID 338. I do an occasional blog at tony-hughes.blogspot.com. I'm on Twitter, TonyH1212. And you can also get me at distrohoppersdigest@gmail.com and th@mintcast.org.
And Tony Watts, more of you.
You can find some of my musical pursuits at Echoes of Savages on anything, really. Been quiet a bit on that front while we're recording, but hopefully we'll have some good stuff coming out of that soon that you can check out. Hang out in the MeWe Mintcast group, and you can email me at tw@mintcast.org.
Awesome. And I'm looking forward to that. And Josh isn't with us today as well. He's revising, I think is what he says. So at school, lots and lots of school. You can get him at josh@mintcast.org, josh@edublocks.org, edublocks.org, and at all_about_code on Twitter. And for me, leochavez.org and at leochavez on Twitter. And you can get your 5-minute news digest at Full Circle Weekly News. I promise I'll be caught up one of these days. But before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make Mintcast possible. Josh for all his work on the website and the live stream, except for today. Bytemark Hosting for hosting mintcast.org and our Mumble server. Archive.org for hosting all of our audio files. And the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about every fortnight. Thanks, Clem.
Thanks, Clem.
Thanks, Clem.
Thanks, Clem.
I think that was 2 hours 10. Not bad.
Oh, I've got 2 hours 6.
Yeah, I've got 2 hours 6.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Oh, yeah, I was just looking at the
Yeah.
clock. All right. So with the truncate silence, I think we hit an hour each.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I really burned through that innards.
Yeah, you did. That
Well,
worked
I
out really
am
well.
going to close mine and save that puppy, and let's go.
Thank you all for hanging out in the live stream.
Good show.
I really, really appreciate that. And yeah, so the live
I
stream
wasn't
was in a,
watching.
yeah,
I
well, the
wasn't
live stream was in a
watching the-
totally different room, so I have no idea what was going on over there. If there was live chat or anything, I have no
Right.
clue.
Right, I wasn't watching the YouTube page like I normally do to see if there was any chatter there.
Oh man, I hope there wasn't. Well, no, I hope there was, but no. Yeah, it just dawned on me now that I've got 3 chat windows open, right? I've got Discord and Telegram and the Mintcast. What is that? IRC. But yeah, I was not watching YouTube. Whoops.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
I'm
too
gonna go
much
check
going
out-
on to keep up with it all.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check out that chat, and if anybody said anything, I will go and reply, hopefully. But I'll stop my Audacity now.
Well, Do we have a window to a folder to put these in now?
Not at the moment. I haven't created one anyway. Do you want me to?
One person said, "Nice live stream, thank you."
Sweet.
Yay!
New folder.
Oh, that was it? That was the only one?
That's all I see.
Whew, good. Okay. I mean, I hate leaving people hanging, so yeah.
Have we stopped the mumble recording yet?
Nope.
Plenty of good stuff for the front ends.
I've just created a audio folder, and I'm just about to upload my audio.
It's funny how
there it is. Okay. And hit that and hit file upload and find my bloody file again.
kind of hilarious how now we get a recording done in 2 hours and we're like, yeah, nice and short, excellent.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be 2 episodes, so
I know, but it's just funny, right? Before we'd be like, oh, we hit an hour and a half, that's great. Now we're like 2 hours. Yeah.
Yay!
Gonna be a short show.
Yay!
Oh my god,
Well,
the sun's going down, guys.
Two short shows.
Distro Hoppers has yet to exceed 50 minutes.
Invite us all on and see how that goes, Moss.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
Well, we've invited y'all to do reviews for us, and nobody has submitted a review.
Hey, you know what? Because I don't distro hop, that's why I can't do
Yeah,
it.
I
But
know.
let me tell you something. I've been
Go on.
running Manjaro Gnome for a week and a half now. So
Oh.
maybe by the next episode of the following, I might have something for you. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's not bad.
Just record something and
Yeah.
send it to us, and we'll
right.
record an episode
Yeah,
with it.
the idea is we have a user edition plotted to come in 2 weeks between, halfway between the episodes.
Oh, really?
And if no one submits a user edition anything, if no one submits a review, we don't have a user edition.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
Okay, now... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's a bit like an HPR podcast. You submit the audio to us. We do an intro and an outro and stick it on the internet
Okay.
on our blog.
Can I
That'll
cuss
be a
on your
whole lot
podcast?
easier.
Pardon?
Can I cuss on your podcast?
Ooh.
Can I
We've
cuss
been
like a
keeping
sailor
it
on your
family
podcast?
friendly.
We're trying to be family friendly.
Boo.
Listen, I'll just do it and I'll bleep myself. How about that?
And Joe's just showed up, and Tony's and mine.
Oh, I'm being lazy. I haven't even started the upload yet.
We got 3 folder now. Well, guys, I'm going to take off. We got a lot of things to do here. I will get the show notes edited, and it's been great. And Tony, I'll see you Wednesday morning.
I'll see you Wednesday morning, or Wednesday noon for me.
It's morning for me, yes. All right.
All right, guys. I'll get this audio uploaded. Hey, it's December now. Yeah.
It
took me
is.
2 hours and 12 minutes to figure that out.
You know what we have to do? You know what we have to do?
What's that?
We have to go back to last year's end of year show that
Predictions,
we did.
yes.
Yeah, the predictions and go through
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to
mine
make
came
new
through.
predictions.
Mine came
Yes,
through.
Tony hit it. Hit the
I
jackpot.
think a couple
Yeah.
of mine did, but I'll have to check.
One of mine did too.
Hold on.
Hey.
One last thing. So our next episode. Oh wow. So the innards half of the next show is gonna release Christmas Eve night, Christmas morning, somewhere in that
Oh.
range.
Okay.
Ooh.
So we're going to be talking about 19.3.
Yeah, we probably will because that's coming out on Tuesday. But
That's
so
the beta on Tuesday.
Yes, beta on Tuesday.
I don't think we'll get the release until
They said
January.
it's supposed
will
to
we?
Nope, they said it's supposed to happen before Christmas.
Oh, did they?
I
Right.
Yes.
also
Yeah.
wanted to discuss with you guys HBR's New Year's show.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
the other thing. I'm planning to go on it and try and get a few of the odd campers around at a particular time. But we could try and be around at a particular time as well.
Let's grab an hour and just make it the mintCast.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have us
That'd
all,
be cool.
whoever else wants to be there, and all of us just talk.
Yeah, unless something falls through, I'm gonna be off from Saturday the 14th. So whatever y'all want to do.
Lucky. Yeah.
Hey man, yeah, that's education for you.
I'm going to be off on the 20th. Well, no. 20th will be my last day working, and then I'm off until the second week of January, so I'll be back on work on the 6th.
That's cool.
Cool. So nice. All right. Well, anyway, so next episode, plan on something Christmassy. We might even we could change the music.
So, next episode, were you hinting at we were maybe going to do predictions next episode, or would we do that on the 29th?
We do that on the 29th, I would assume.
Yeah. But we
need to review our predictions.
Yeah.
Should we do
do
that?
that.
We do know a couple of musicians if we want Christmas music.
Well, not all of us are in that class of people.
Yeah.
Well, because we need, open source stuff that we're allowed to use. So have Mr. Watts put together some heavy metal Christmas music for us. And I am down.
I could probably do that.
Ooh.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, we got time to talk about this. I'm gonna get my audio uploaded, and I will see you guys soon.
Okay.
See you guys.
Stop mumble now.
All right.
Later.
Okay. Good night, guys.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Cheers.